Hey guys,
I'm Hallee,
and I'm Jamie.
and this is Literal Nonsense.
Hey guys.
Hey.
I feel like that's like literally always the exact like cadence of our voices. Okay, so big episode today, ladies and gentlemen. Big one.
Be prepared.
So I am a little nervous. Hallie's obviously not nervous.
No.
I'm a little nervous, but I want to preface this by saying I feel like people feel two very distinct ways about this book, and we are like aggressively on both of those sides. I'm sure you can guess which one's which. So if you have no idea what's going on, we're doing It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So now you're caught up. I also will say, because I'm sure you guys can all guess the nature of this episode, it's going to be friendly. It's going to be done with love. Professional debate.
You're dumb.
Yeah.
No.
But we love each other always. So even if we
Yes.
get a little aggressive,
We might get a little aggressive, but it's
we
all
might.
it's all with
We
love.
might. It is all with love. So I want you guys to know that. No feelings will be hurt.
Breaking news: Literal Nonsense podcast breaks up due to polarizing views of Colleen Hoover.
But I will say, I think it'll be interesting to see how much and how strongly we feel on both sides. And I'm actually really interested because I think usually when you bring up points, it helps me see like your side. So I'm excited to get there. Yeah, okay. So let's give a synopsis of this book for anyone who doesn't know what this is about. Okay, so like I mentioned, we are doing It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I begged and pleaded for Hallee to do just one more Colleen Hoover.
Okay, after this, put my foot down. No more.
No, that's totally fine.
No more. For real.
I also just think it was needed. The movie just came out. Our other episode of Colleen Hoover did well. So, I was like, let's please Hallee do it. And she agreed. So here we are. Okay. So this book. Now, if you read the back of the book, it very much so gives off love triangle vibes. So our girl, her name is Lily Bloom to be exact, and it's a dual timeline book, and so Lily had an abusive father. Now the book in the present time starts off, her father just died. Her and her mom kind of have a little weird relationship because she kind of like not blamed her mom, but just never understood why her mom dealt with it, whatever. So then she moves to Boston. She's now currently in Boston. She meets this guy.
I think you forgot to mention that her dad was abusive.
No, I said he was abusive.
Oh.
And that's why she's mad at her mom.
Wow. Totally just blacked out there. Okay.
Well, her dad's abusive.
Because I'm like fuck.
Okay. And so she meets this guy in the current time. She's on top of a roof, just like looking out, thinking, and
she's sitting on the edge of the roof.
Yeah, but she's like literally just sitting on the edge. Like she's not suicidal. She's just sitting there.
Edge of glory.
And so he like kicks open the door, starts kicking a chair, and she's like, "You good, bro? Whatever." So they talk. They have this whole thing. They're strangers, naked truths. They don't know each other. They can just be honest. Okay, so clearly this is the first love interest. Now, you go back in time, and she's like what, 14 in high school, or 15?
Like
she's 15. There's a guy that goes to her school, and he's homeless, and he's like living in an abandoned house, like right in back of her house.
Yeah.
And so they become friends. Now they also fall in love. He's homeless because basically his family life just sucks. It's not his fault. He's tried to, get jobs, but he has no car. He can't, get into the like foster homes. He's 18. All the shelters are full and they're like not safe. So, awareness to homelessness. Okay, so they fall in love. Now, basically, long story short, what happens? He's in fucking Boston. So his name is Atlas. Atlas is the homeless boy.
Well, he moves to Boston.
Yeah,
with
and
his
like
uncle, and so they lose contact
for years and years and years and years.
All right, like 8 years.
That's a lot of time.
Definitely like years and
And then
years.
she moves to Boston too. Now that's where she is current time. And Ryle is the guy kicking chairs around, being a fucking psycho.
He's all riled up.
Oh dear.
He's getting all riled up.
That's actually amazing. And so yes, so okay, again, when I first started this book, because I had read some Colleen Hoover's before this one, I was like, ooh, love triangle, love to see it. This is not what this book is about. So that's just a little premise we're going to talk about, as we normally do, go down the timeline. But that's what we're walking into. Again, it is not evident when you first start the book if you know anything or nothing about it. You don't know where this book is going, I would say.
Okay.
Did you know because you heard about it? Or did you know what I'm saying? Because you
Okay,
knew.
so what I knew of the book was that it was a book about domestic violence.
Okay, fair. So you knew that going in.
So I knew that, but I didn't know I didn't know her dad was abusive. I figured the love interest would end up being abusive. I
Right.
didn't know what inspired the book to be written. I just knew it was about domestic violence.
Okay. And so did that make it less, I would assume it made it less shocking for you, yes? Because
I
you knew.
guess, yeah.
Because when I tell you, I went in thinking it was a love triangle, like light, fluffy love story. When I tell you I was fucking floored, I was like, oh, hello? I'm I'm very confused.
Yeah, I guess I missed out on the punch fact. Nah. The punch factor of
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, okay, of course.
Well, right. And again, if it's a book about domestic violence, you're assuming the partner, whether her father was abusive or not, you could guess the partner that she ends up with is going to be abusive. Okay. So that's why I was curious. Okay. So let's, I guess, start talking about her first interaction with Ryle.
On the roof?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is this guy?
I thought the beginning was fine. I was
okay.
LOL. I was like, okay, mad weird that she's on this random fucking roof. It's not even her building's roof.
I mean, yeah, she's a little bit of a weird duck.
She's a weirdo
girl.
for sure, but
yeah.
I mean, can you blame that on her past? Probably.
Probably. I would say yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this hot guy walks up onto the roof and he's obviously mad. To me, personally, I would have dipped. I would have been like, yeah, nah, sorry, not sticking around for this.
But how hot is hot, Oh.
Okay, there needs to be a line drawn somewhere.
But also to be fair,
but she's mad casual about it.
Well, yes, but kicking a chair around. Okay, so
yeah, but he's huffing and puffing. He's having a fucking break.
Do you feel like this was his first red flag?
Yes.
Even before anything happened, not looking back. When you first initially read this, were you red flag?
I was like, this guy's a weirdo.
Okay, fair. See, I didn't.
But people,
I was like, he's mad.
But that's also okay. So that's also a point you can make, right? If I get really fucking upset, yeah, I'm fucking punching my pillow and
oh hell
kicking
yeah,
shit. Of course, I feel like that's normal. But within the context of the book, I'm like, okay, foreshadowing already. You know what I mean?
Right. And I guess that's where we're gonna differentiate in this because I didn't know again that this was a fucking book about domestic violence.
I mean, this guy's beating up a plastic chair. I'm like, okay.
I'm like, what happened to your day, dude? Yeah. Okay. So we find out when he's on the roof that he's a neurosurgeon. Great, I
will have things to say about all of that, but yes.
So again, because I'm going into this thinking it's just a romance, whatever, cliche, sappy, whatever, fine. I'm like, but I'm into the vibe. A little random meetup. He's a neurosurgeon. They're they flirt a little. He's like, I would totally have sex with you. And they don't exchange numbers, nothing. They kind of he takes a picture of her, which I thought was a little weird.
No, their whole interaction was weird from the get. Okay.
For sure.
Once they get acquainted and he realizes she's there, okay, the whole naked truth thing, that was fine. I was like, okay, that's cool. This is a stranger, who fucking cares, right?
Yeah, you can be honest.
Yeah, but then he's just like, oh, you're hot, do you want to have sex? And she was like, oh, I'm not into one night stands. And he's like, oh, so sad. And then leaves. I'm like, random.
Random, but also if they're both single and he's into one night stands, I feel like weirder things have
I know, but
happened.
I just felt like not like blindsided, but I was like, oh, okay, like getting right into it. You know what I mean?
I almost respect the honesty, you know? There's no bullshitting. It's like, you're hot, like, you want to have sex? Like, what are we doing
I don't
here?
know, but I feel like this is supposed to be like realistic fiction. Like, do people really act like that? I don't know.
Sometimes.
I guess if you're fucking deranged. That's mean.
Men are deranged.
Maybe okay. Now my biases are kicking in. Let me not. Let me stop.
Like, you know, men are a treat all around.
This is true.
Um,
Men really do have the audacity.
like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't feel like that was like, whoa, this is out there. Like, I was like,
To me,
you
that set the
know,
tone. I was like, okay, this is where we're going with this book.
and yes, it did set the tone in the sense he also, as you mentioned, was like, oh, are you into one night stands? And he very much so was like, I don't want marriage. I'm career oriented. I just fuck people, whatever.
Which is
Yes,
fine, but like, I don't know. I
yes,
feel
but
like,
he is setting a tone.
yeah.
Okay, so in this interaction they have, she also tells him that she really loves like gardening, flowers, things like that, and she's like, I would love to open my own business. And he's like, just fucking do it. Who cares? Whatever, right? So fine, but she does mention that. So now we flash, I don't know,
It's like
months
six
ahead.
months or something.
Yeah. And she quits her job and she opens her own floral place.
Hmm.
Which, fine, good for her.
That was
Lovely.
cool. I like her like
Um,
anti-establishment kind of view on it. Like, oh, it's not
okay,
like
so
a, like your typical florist. She's like, I want to make it look fucking deranged, and I was like, all right, respect.
yeah. So she's opening this place. It's like an abandoned storefront type of deal. And there's a help wanted sign on the front door. And so this woman comes in, looks very well put together, has money. And she's like, hey, like, do you need help? And she's like, well, yes, but I really can't like pay a lot. And she's like, no, I'll work for free. And we're like, who the fuck is this girl? Whatever. So her name's Alyssa.
Again, unrealistic, but okay.
Okay, we'll get there. How did you do you like Alyssa as a character?
I'm always sus of like people who are like way too nice in the beginning. Not that I thought she was gonna turn out to be a bad person, but like for me personally, in real life and in books, when the people are like, "Oh my god," I'm like, "Yeah, you're not for me. You're
I
too
don't know
much."
how we became friends.
But you weren't like that in the beginning.
Just
Like
now.
you're like high energy and like me, but it's not like, "Oh my god." Like, me. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
I
I don't
mean,
know. To me,
I'm glad to hear that you feel that way.
some about certain things you get like that, and
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, stop, enough,
Yeah,
Jamie.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
also because like I guess because I've just known you for a long time, so it's like
Mhm.
we know each other's like boundaries in that kind of regard, and
Like
like
our conversation today.
yeah, and we know like not to take it like personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, fair. So this girl walks in and like I liked her. I thought she was fun.
Yeah, she was
So she's
fine.
like just she's helping Lily out, whatever. Now Lily's doing something and she falls off a crate. I don't fucking know. She's a spaz. She twists her ankle. So the girl Alyssa's calling her
Oh
husband.
my
What the fuck's his
god,
name? Why can't I think
Marshall.
of? Oh, Marshall. Okay, thank you. Calls her husband Marshall. Come here. Bring my brother. Blah blah blah. My boss fell, and he's like, your boss? You don't got a job? Whatever. So I like Alyssa and her husband Marshall. I think they're great.
I like their relationship.
Yes, yes. And so, of course, again, unrealistic, yes. But again, thinking this is just a romance book, of course, the brother that walks in is Ryle. And you're like, oh, of course it is.
Yeah, I mean, I liked
Um,
how they pretended like not to know each other.
well,
That was
except for that
fun.
one interaction when she walked in. What did he was like, Alyssa leaves to get like ice with Marshall.
Yeah, he asks
And
if she wants to have sex again, and she
yeah,
was
he's
like,
like,
"Did you just proposition my boss to have sex or
yes, because
something?"
Alyssa walked in on it and she was like, huh? And she was like, ignore my brother, he's so fucked up.
This guy's just
Whatever.
like a horny bastard.
But I think he was just saying, he was like, oh, I would still have sex with you. Like, whatever. And then she walked in on that,
Which
but
is
it
just
seemed
so bizarre.
crazy.
It's just so bizarre. I don't
And he's
know.
attracted to her. She seems like she's like, they're both written as very attractive.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like some aggression is nice, but like when you're just too much, it's like, all right, like now you're annoying.
I
Like
mean, I get it.
we get it. You want to have sex with her.
Hmm. And so, whatever. They pretend like this is still their first interaction. Now, her ankle's like sprained, twisted, whatever.
Oh, how
Alyssa kind
ironic! He's a doctor.
I mean, he's a neurosurgeon, so I don't really know how much
He has to go through 4 years of med school.
But I'm always about like a meet cute doctor situation.
Okay. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. The whole doctor fantasy thing, okay, I can understand it, but I feel like it was a little too much in this book. But that's just me. I don't know. Me, I'm like these fantasy role things, whatever. I like them a little bit more subtle, you know? Not when
Okay,
they're just
fair.
like blatantly like, oh, his scrubs. He showed up in his scrubs. Like, oh, I can't contain myself
Yes.
in his scrubs. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay, I get it. I get it.
But like I said, I think I will.
It's very immature to me.
Okay.
To me.
Yes, I can see what you're saying. I will preface though that I think, in my opinion, before we even continue on, she did a very good job of making this like all the like cliche niche sappy romance things and then is like whoosh and makes it like a serious topic. Like the overdoing the doctor thing. Obviously the sister is her employee. Like I thought I would again at this point, Jane Bow, reading the book, thinks that I'm reading a fucking romance bullshit book
Okay, agree, but I don't think that is an excuse
to keep
for
doing it.
loving the book.
Okay, well we'll get there too. Okay, so what happens next? Oh, he like stalks her.
Yeah, and he's
You
just
hate this.
I do, and he's just like so persistent and like the girl's just trying to have fucking dinner with her mom and he's like, "Oh, I'm coming." Like,
Well, no. Remember he goes to her building
"Oh
and
yeah,
he's knocking on.
oh yeah." He's like, "I knocked on 100 doors to get to you." Okay, a little swoon there, but like also now you're kind of giving me weird vibes.
Well, then he dove
Like
onto his
you could have
knees.
just fucking asked your sister where she lived. Yeah, and then he's on his knees literally begging her. And I was like, "Major ick. Major ick.
Yeah,
Play cool, bro. Play cool."
yeah. No, he didn't play
She
it cool.
knows. She
He,
knows what you want. Like,
yeah, no, he wants sex. And so
which is also it's just so funny because like she says in the book like he's like, "Oh, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. I can't stop thinking about you." Like da 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 da. Okay, say that in a time and place. Not every fucking page that I turn. You know, it's always brought back to that point before they even start getting back to like getting together.
right, right. Well, and so obviously they get together, right? And he's trying, and they're doing it
Obviously.
like secretly. Like he would like go to the grand opening of the floral shop and like sent flowers to the shop and like wrote like
Yeah.
make it stop, like I need to stop thinking about you, whatever. The head of this comes when she goes to Alyssa's birthday party and they get into an argument, yada yada, and she's like, "Leave me the fuck alone. You keep flirting with me and doing all these things, but like I don't want to just have sex. So either like you commit to like trying something or like get away from me."
Which is
And she's like,
fine.
"It's
I was like, good.
yes." And she's like, "It's hurting me. Like I like you as well, but like I don't want just that." And then he, rushes to the room, grabs her, yada yada, which I swoon worthy to me.
I mean, like, if you're drunk at a party, like, that could be fun for sure.
And also, like, then they go to his room and he's like, what do I need to do to prove it? And she's like, let's not have sex. And they just like sleep together, which I thought, like, sleep physically together in the bed,
Yeah.
which I also thought was fine. I
They
was
just
like,
fall
good.
asleep.
Yeah. And then
Okay, fine.
the next morning she wakes up and Alyssa's like, so what the fuck? And then she finally tells Alyssa, I've known your brother, like, since before we met, didn't know you were his sister, all this stuff. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, especially as we keep going into now the meat of the book, because this is
Mhm.
really all just bullshit we're glossing over because it's like the beginning, really.
Yeah.
Um, I also, which you might make fun of me, whatever, don't care. I also feel this book really hard because of the nature of my relationship with Amelia and Ryan.
Mhm.
So, Amelia, for anyone who doesn't know who Amelia is, feel weird introducing her.
And our
Amelia's
next host, Amelia.
right.
Come on down.
So Amelia's my best friend since I was 14 years old.
Amelia's my
And
best friend, and I stalked her until she liked me.
yes, and then I married her brother.
So actually, Jamie lives in a Colleen Hoover book.
Right, yeah. So I never met her brother and then I met him and now we're married. Point of that reasoning I'm saying this is because as things escalate in this book, imagining like kind of also losing her in a sense, like that affected me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like because they became like Alyssa and Lily become best friends, whatever. Different order of how they met and such. but like she really is close with Alyssa and like loves Alyssa sans Ryle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I think maybe that's also why this book affects me, because like seeing them all hang out, like the little quad they have, their little group, like I was very much able to put myself in that position.
Okay.
So that's number one reason. So just wanted to let you know, whatever, okay. Um, so now they go to dinner. It's a place called Bibs. It's gonna be relevant, promise.
Mm.
And they're ordering food with Lily's mom. The mom's me and Ryle. Big steps, you know.
After
And
a couple months, if that.
which is fine.
Couple
That's fine.
weeks. Well,
That's
even she's
okay.
like, oh, I don't know about this.
Yeah, but you know what? They live in the same city. I mean, like really, whatever. It is what it is. Well, they aren't even officially dating because she didn't know how to introduce him. She's like, "Is this my boyfriend?" I don't know.
Yeah, but she's obviously head over heels.
Correct. So I wouldn't mind
Which is something that we will circle back to because I have a hang up with that. But
okay. But if you're head over heels for this guy and he wants to meet your mom, you're gonna be like jazzed, you know.
okay, yeah, whatever. Keep it pushing. So who did they meet at the
So
restaurant?
Atlas is the waiter in this scene,
Yeah,
and she's like, "What the fuck, Atlas?"
yeah, which is understandable. You know, like she was fucking like starstruck. She didn't know how to act. She hadn't seen him in forever. They were very close at one point. Broke her heart when he left. Yada yada yada. The whole thing. Okay, totally understandable.
Lost virginity to him. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
these are big. These
shocking.
are pivotal moments for that time, and like, it's obvious she never really processed like all of that.
Correct. And I would argue if you're just not expecting to see someone that you used to be in love with,
Blindsided.
she is not completely over him. But if she was even, I would argue you're still like, oh,
Well,
yeah.
even at that point, even say she is over him, you know,
Right. That's what I'm saying.
the feelings of like being back in that time and place are just gonna come up naturally,
For sure.
you know.
So she plays it off. But then she's like, I never want to go back there ever again. Whatever.
Well, yeah, because that was a hard part of her life, like one of the best parts of her life and the hardest part of her life, right?
Correct. And
Mind you,
so
she's 24. Okay, let's just preface that she's also 24 years old.
I don't, but okay, here's my hang up with you sometimes. You act like 24 is so like young.
It is young.
Like it is, but like I could see us having these emotions at our age. Like why don't you? Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm not discrediting her emotions, but it's just like this. And I wrote this in my review, and this is my problem with every fucking Colleen Hoover book. All the main characters, the female main characters, who the book's about, they're all like 20 to 25, right? Okay,
Okay.
so for the most part, you're still in college, or you're just starting to get your life together, you're just getting a job, like whatever. To me, personally, there's still a very big level of immaturity there because you're not like in the world. To me,
Like
some people are the exception. I'm just generalizing here.
no, for sure. And I don't disagree with you
But
per
But
se.
she writes them all as stupid, dumb bitches. Okay, so that's the taste that I have in my mouth from the beginning of every one of her books.
But I
And
would
then,
argue at that age most people are stupid dumb bitches.
yes, which is fine. But then something traumatic happens, or they go through, this life altering event, like whatever. And then all of a sudden they're like fucking Sophocles. Like, now they're like, the age 75-year-old woman who has all this life experience. And they're like, oh my God, and I will never do that again. And blah, blah, blah. All right. Like, it's too polarizing for me.
I understand, but like I also argue like certain things would do that to you.
That
There's
quick? I don't know. There needs to be a
I don't
level of
know.
like rest, reflection,
Okay, fair.
and for many, many, many people, they never learn the lesson.
Fair. But that could also just be, it is fiction. You would hope that people do learn their lesson. It could just be a general, it could be streamlined for sure, that maybe is not as realistic as real life, but it could just be like a nice overall message.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It's just too polarizing for me. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Like if a woman is traumatized at a young age and she's wise beyond her years because of the trauma as a result, like make that consistent through the book.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
You know?
I get what you're saying. But also, like, maturing and stuff isn't linear either, I would argue, and healing and yada yada.
Okay.
Like,
And you also can't have that within a 300-page book. So for
For sure.
me, that's where my problem is like there's holes, like I can't see the progression. It doesn't have
I
to be
get you.
linear,
I
but
just feel
like,
like it's streamlined. It's just it I think it follows
yes.
a general path. I just think like I don't want okay, to be fair also, I don't want to read this for 700 pages for it to like make sense timeline
No,
wise.
but for sure.
100%.
But this book takes place within a year, basically, if that.
Yeah.
You know, are you really making all this transformative growth in 12 months?
I mean, but maybe that's also like hopeful for some people. Like that you could like if you make effort change it. I don't know. I have no idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
but then that's when it gets
I
too like, ah, la, la, you know what I mean?
well, of
And then I don't
course, because
like
it's
that.
still a romance inherently. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
but that's my hang up. Like that's why
Yes,
I don't
yes, yes.
enjoy like these romance books is because to me it's just it's fluff. Like give
Yes.
me some more nitty-gritty.
Like, and I think from what I hear you saying is also like it's fluff trying to have serious conversations, but like you're not giving the serious conversations the due diligence because it's still a fluffy book.
Yes.
Okay, that's a fine, valid
But
stance, and
that's just me. That's
uh,
just my
and
that's my hang up. I mean, I understand why
yes,
people like these books, like why people like romance books. Like
well,
I understand that point, but for me personally, I can't apply that to myself.
and I'm not even saying this to the people that like it because I like this book a lot. We'll talk about that toward the end of the episode, but I also would argue, in general, some people maybe like you're a very deep analytical thinker who can handle like a tougher book and like real like the truth of things. Some people may need these serious topics talked about in a fluffy manner to like actually grasp them.
Okay. Or
I
like
would
a first
argue.
introduction to.
Correct.
Okay.
So, I get that like same thing with kind of like me not liking normal people. I get what she was doing. It just like wasn't like my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same thing. Like
Hmm.
you just would prefer a more analytical, honest, blunt version of these situations.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so, okay, let's go into the situations, I guess.
Okay.
And so they're dating officially now. She hasn't seen Atlas anymore. All is well, all is good. Now they're getting like drunk one night, having some wine. They're gonna make a little
But
casserole.
this is also that statement also is not valid because she's
What?
reading through her old journals.
Okay, she is. She's reading through her old journals where she's like writing about Atlas. That's how you are finding out about what was going on with them in the dual timeline.
I liked the aspect of like learning about the past through the journal entries. That was
Okay, yep.
fine. I just thought the whole Ellen DeGeneres thing was corny.
Yeah, she's writing to Ellen DeGeneres, guys. I
Which,
agree. I don't like it. I'd rather her have just had a diary.
yeah, like the diary would have been fine. And like, okay,
Yes,
so she likes, from Dory, just keep swimming. Like, that's fine. She could have, that, just including that would have been fine too. But like the whole,
correct.
like, Dear Ellen, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it was like, if it was to Oprah, I would have liked it more. I don't know. To me, Ellen DeGeneres,
I also just think it was one of those things.
who?
Maybe she took like creative liberties and like tried to do something fun and cutesy. It didn't hit home for me either.
Yeah.
I agree. I do agree. I like the journal stance though.
Okay,
Like
but
I
like,
almost tried to ignore that it was to Ellen. Like
uh
I feel
huh.
like I just read them as journals, and that was fine for me.
Yeah. Okay. Also, we're gonna have to go into like who we like more as a love interest for sure.
Yeah, I have a feeling we differ. Anyways, so fine. She's not seeing Atlas, but she's very much so reminiscing. And you know what? I think that's fair. I think that if she had seen him, whatever, her
Hmm.
dad also just died, so that was like the time period when he was really like being a piece of shit to her mom.
Well, she doesn't start reading the journals until after she sees him at the restaurant, right?
No, she starts before that. It's after her
Oh,
dad dies.
okay.
And I think she was just kind of like
Mm,
reflecting on that.
okay.
Um and so fine. So yeah, so she's not interacting with him but very much so reminiscing. But I would argue that's fine. Maybe it's kind of her coping with seeing him slash her dad dying, a bunch of things.
Yeah. I mean, like, if I was her, I wouldn't want to go back to that restaurant either.
Correct. And so her and Ryle are making a casserole, whatever. They're again wine drunk. They both have off the next day. Things are good. The business is going well. He's doing great in, his
Oh, yeah.
residency,
This
whatever.
this is the first instance.
Yes, so we have a first instance. And so she's drunk and like burns the casserole. And he's like, oh, Lily, like it's smoking, whatever. And he goes to reach and grab the casserole, grabs it with his hands and like burns himself, obviously. Drops the
His
casserole and
hands
she,
from God.
right. And she laughs because she's like, dummy, like you should have used the pot holder.
I
Now
would have laughed as well.
he does reference prior to this, he's a big surgery Monday, which I feel like that was fine. Like that was a fine way to kind of make it like evident like how serious it was that he burned his hands, you know? Realistically, if I wouldn't be thrilled if I hurt myself when someone laughed. Like, you know, being mad is one thing, which we're gonna talk a lot about this. So she's like laughing and he's like pissed and he pushes her.
Yeah. And what happened? She falls?
She slips and hits her head on like the corner of the cabinet and like cuts her eye. Um and then she's pissed and she kind of like not pushes him but I guess kind of like gets like get away from me kind of thing, and then he like falls back and puts his hand in the glass and now his hands are bleeding and burnt, and it's like a whole fucking shit show basically.
And she's like triggered 'cause she was like, oh, like if anyone
Right.
ever laid a hand on me, like I'd leave immediately. I'm not my mother. Like,
Right. And so I think those were all very valid points, and I think he literally was like, oh my god, like I just got pissed and like didn't know what to do. Now pushing someone's never okay,
mm-hmm.
but I think as we go on, I want to say that I think she did a really good job of like making the instances get more severe as they went on.
Mm-hmm.
Because in
Which,
this instance, I think you could, as a reader, be like, "Oh, like he didn't mean to hurt her. He just was like, get away."
but then I
Not
also,
okay.
okay, but like as the instances get worse,
Hmm.
and then it's written off in the end that he has a problem.
Yeah, we'll talk
To
about that.
me, that's also inconsistent because it would have been that way from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, why is it now just the longer time they spent together? It's but then okay, but then also you can counter like, as time goes on, people get more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The true colors show, which okay, I understand, but then it's just inconsistent because you're gonna tell me like him living with
Mm-hmm.
his sister, like she never pissed him off.
Right. Right.
But
But
we'll go into that.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then she gets like they have a very serious talk. You know, never do this. He knows about her dad. He was like profusely apologizes, and they're fine. They are, not fine, but she was
Yeah.
like, "You do it ever again, like I'm done. Like I'm out." You know. And so Alyssa really wants to go back to this restaurant. We also find out the reason Alyssa started working for Lily is because she was having problems getting pregnant for like a long time and she just wanted to get out of the house and not be sad. She gets pregnant, they're like celebrating. I think that's what the dinner is for. And she's like, I want to try this place so bad. Like, let's go here, blah, blah, blah. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
great. So now they go to this dinner and it's directly after this instance happened. So Lily has a bandage on her eye and Ryle has bandages on his hand. So that's not looking great.
No.
And also, it's very. Colleen Hoover's very distinct in pointing out that Ryle lies to Alyssa and says, like, oh, Lily slipped or something. And Lily's like, he lied. Like, why not just, if it wasn't a big deal, you shouldn't be lying about it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also when like, she's kind of also like, damn, like, it was serious enough for him, like, to, like, save face. So yeah, and now we have all kinds of funsies happen at this restaurant.
Yeah, whatever. So they're there. Okay, we find out that Atlas is actually the owner of the fucking restaurant. Of course he is. And then, I don't know. Ryle leaves to go to the bathroom, and then like Lily goes to leave to the bathroom, and then Atlas follows her into the bathroom.
Well, because he saw them with the bandages.
Yeah, and he was like, Lily, what are you doing? Like, you need to get out. Like, you can't be with him. And she's like, oh, it's not what you think, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, Ryle comes into the bathroom. He's like, what are you doing with my girlfriend? And then it's just
Which that's
like,
fucked up. I wouldn't love to see that either.
no. And then, they fight. And Atlas, like, he walks away, right? Or something. And, like, Lily's trying to calm him down. And he was like, oh, like, this is the guy, like, from like, oh, like you're a pity fuck or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was
I
like,
was like,
ooh. I
oh.
was like, oh, that was rough. Whatever. So
Yeah, I
then,
think he said like, this is the homeless guy you pity fucked.
yeah,
I was like, oof.
that was crazy. So then, yeah. So obviously the mood is soured, and
Yeah.
Lily's like, oh, we gotta go. Like, I don't feel well. So they end up leaving, and Melissa's like, no, don't go. Like, And I'm
Well,
like,
she's also confused, to be fair, because she's like, why are you fist fighting the chef of this restaurant?
oh my god. Yeah, but so then they leave, right?
Yeah.
And then Ryle is like upset and he's like they storm off to the car
They
and they
just
have like a
like,
little spat, right?
yeah, just a little spat. But then what happens the next day is Atlas comes to the floral shop and gives Lily his phone number and is like, if you ever need me, like,
Yeah.
like put it in the back of your phone, whatever. Okay, fine.
Mhm. Yeah. So, okay, cool.
Fine. Fine, I guess.
Yeah, and then Alyssa is obviously there and like Lily's like, "Oh, like don't tell Ryle." And she's like, "I'm not an idiot." Like,
Yeah, and she's also not cool about it, but she's also like fine.
but I'm also like, I don't know. This all this is just getting weird now. I'm like,
It
now
is
this is
getting
too
weird
much.
for
Like now
sure.
everything's getting all convoluted. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like now it's too much drama.
a lot of drama. Um,
And
and
it
so
just gets worse.
yeah, story goes on. I don't know kind of what order it happens. I forget, but they get married. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah,
Whatever.
doesn't his like parents visit from like the UK or something,
Yeah, they meet
and
her. So things are going well. Things are fine.
yeah, they fly to
Now,
Vegas, they elope,
yeah,
they
things
move
are
in together.
yes. And now I think this happens actually before they get married, unsure, or maybe right after. I'm not really sure. But
It's right
they're
after,
going
I think.
they're going somewhere and he drops her phone. And the case pops off, finds the number, calls it's Atlas.
Yeah,
Big, big bad.
it's right after they get married,
Yeah,
and he's
big bad.
like, "My cheating, lying whore wife," and I'm like, "Holy shit!"
Which, okay, that's not okay. Of course, it's not okay. But like,
I feel like
I
that's
mean,
like honestly
finding that shit right after you get married, it's like that is a
that
shitty.
I like that's like I feel like that's like a given reaction,
Yes, like you shouldn't say hurtful words to your partner
of
either. I'm
course,
not,
but
but it's
like
like,
I could see that. You know what I mean?
yeah, I could see it. And so he's running away, and she follows him on the stairwell,
Oh
and same
yeah.
thing, fucking pushes her, flies down the stairs, and it's like, god damn, dude. But same kind of thing. Like he was trying to walk away, and he was more of like, Lily, get away from me, and like whatever, and then she fell on the stairs.
Yeah.
Now, same thing, profusely apologizing, she's crying, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
She's
But
like,
again, same kind of thing. It's like, is it an accident? Is it not? Right? You're like very on the fence.
yeah, she kicks him out of the house. He ends up sleeping in the hallway.
Yeah, it's like a big deal. Okay, so now here's the thing. Oh, man. Like, okay,
And
I
she's
want to.
like, I forgot that I had left that in there.
She did say that.
She
She did.
tells him, you
She
know,
does. She does tell him this.
which is also inconsistent towards the end of the book. We will get to that.
Well, yes. But she wouldn't say the truth to him. Anyways, but we'll get there. So, okay, as a reader at this point, right?
Hmm. I'm like,
I
leave
want to
him.
say my stance here. Again, being a romance reader, I enjoy romance books. I was very upset. Like, I really liked Ryle from the start. I think that she wrote him as like a very much so desirable book boyfriend, doting after her, just like all the things that like you would objectively want when you're a romance reader.
Hmm.
And so when this starts happening again, didn't know about domestic violence. I'm like devastated, and I'm like, is it accidents? Like I'm sitting here again because when I read and I argue, most people do. You put yourself in the book, right?
Hmm.
If it's relatable, you can see yourself in the situation, whatever.
Hmm.
And so I'm really fucking sitting here reading this goddamn book, and I'm like, he didn't mean to do it. I'd forgive him too. I swear to God. And that puts you in a dark fucking headspace. I will let you know. Like, that's fucked. Because then, same thing. You know, you're thinking, oh, like, if the person you love and there's all these good times and it's like you frustrated them and they just like want you to get away, like, was it an accident? Was it not? You can write off these things. They were very ambiguous situations.
Hmm.
And again, that puts you in like a weird mental state.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at this point in the book, right?
Okay.
Like, I'm very much so like, I'd be staying too.
Honestly, yeah. I would have felt the same way. And I did feel the same way. I was like, yeah, that can totally be written off. She's totally gonna stay with him.
Right.
But I was like, okay, obviously we're gonna hit the one thing,
Yes.
and that's gonna blow up.
But like, how much I didn't want to hit that one thing, you
No,
know?
of
Like,
course
I was
not.
like, no. So then Big revelation. That after this happens, he finally comes clean to Alyssa and he's like, I've been doing this to Lily, yada yada. Alyssa's like, tell her the truth. So we find out this whole deep dark past about Ryle and Alyssa.
Yeah. So when the first night they met, Ryle was like, "Oh, like how did he frame it?" He was saying the story. He was like, "Oh, like this little boy like shot his brother in the fucking head when
Jesus.
they were little because they were in the garage and just playing around and was playing with a loaded gun. Like what does that say about the parents? What does it say about the kid? Like yada yada yada." And like that's one of like the first things he says to Lily when they
And
first
that's
meet.
why he's kicking the chair, because he's upset.
Yeah. Come to find out, he was the child who shot his brother in the head with the loaded gun.
Yes.
Um,
So he has like anger
and you're
issues.
like, fuck. So now me, I'm like, obviously Ryle is the villain. So I'm like, okay, obviously at this point, I'm thinking Ryle is fucked up in the head. And, you know, him and his brother probably playing around and his brother did something he didn't like and like actually fucking shot him.
I don't think I thought that.
I thought that. And I
I
told you
think,
that.
yes. I think they're like, I think she's trying to explain away like his anger issues, which we will talk about, like her giving him an quote unquote excuse.
Okay, but if, okay, so now this is where I get confused. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
he has a violent past, and it's obvious that him and Alyssa are close, like they're close
Yes.
siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now Alyssa's best friends with Lily. You know, why wouldn't she push Ryle to tell her this sooner, or why wouldn't Alyssa say it herself sooner?
I think maybe also like because I mean I don't have siblings, so I can't really whatever. I mean they're close, but I would argue that like she probably knows he's in therapy for these kinds of anger issue outburst type things. I would almost argue that maybe she thought like he was better and like didn't know until like he was like Alyssa, like I need help because like I'm doing this to Lily. Like and that's when they also in the back of the book, there's like statistics and stuff. Oftentimes even people with like domestic abuse and violence situations, sometimes they only abuse their partners. It's never anyone else. So like
Hmm.
not his sister, not whatever. So you know, maybe also he was fine until having that like intimate relationship with someone.
Okay.
Like had anger issues like throwing chairs and shit, but like never hurt someone else, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, who knows. So Lily learns this and they have a pact like, you know, when we argue, let me walk away, I'll come back and we will chat. So they even reference they had a fight, he did that, it was fine and she was like, "Yes, like we're going to make it," you know.
Hmm.
So I was like, "Ooh, you're not." But it's nice that
Obviously, you're
I
not.
almost wish she didn't even write that like which it makes sense cuz sometimes you know people do try and then it doesn't matter in the end
I
anyways.
know. I mean, like at this point, you know the book's going downhill. You know, I
And
was
so
just
now,
waiting. I was just waiting for the next thing.
yeah. And so big evening, all in one night. Alyssa goes into labor. Lily gets voted like best small business, new business in Boston. And Ryle finds out he's going to England for like not med school, but
Some
like
like
I don't know,
residency program.
yeah, awesome. Okay, so big news. So they rush to the hospital, whatever, blah blah blah. Alyssa has the baby.
It's
Um,
all very happy.
all very happy. Ryle now
Yay!
wants babies with Lily. It's like a wonderful time. Um, again, also when I read this, I'm like, damn, like, because I could imagine me and Amelia, like, oh, like, you know, our kids are nieces and nephews of us,
Hmm.
whatever. You know, it's a
Okay,
nice moment. Um,
I'm
but
suspect of this
mm,
whole next scene. I am suspect of this whole next scene.
yeah, so because Lily was in this, like,
Like how it was set up, I'm like, it's not clicking, Steven. You know what I mean?
okay, so Lily stays at the hospital, Ryle goes home, and he's like, ooh, let's try to have a baby tonight. Wink, wink, you know, like, let's have sex. Great. So in the newspaper, because like it's new small businesses in Boston, Atlas's restaurant was also in like the running.
Hmm. And he like mentions like in the paper, like the interviewer was like, "Oh, like why did you call it Bibs?" And he was like, "Oh, like someone who's really important to me. Like, oh, he said it was better in Boston, and that's what Bibs stands for." And they
And
were
then
like,
she has a magnet on her fridge that Atlas gave her that says better in Boston. So Ryle's connecting all this,
"Okay,
obviously.
yeah, mm-hmm. Okay." To
So she
me,
comes home. She comes home. And he's like in the fucking dark like a psycho.
obviously, he's been drinking, and he like throws the mag. No, he's like, "Where'd you get this magnet from?" And she's like,
Mind you, he's like fingering her. I'm really confused at this part.
"Yeah, okay, yes, same." Because okay, I'll tell you what my initial thoughts were going into this whole scene.
Okay, so say the scene and then say your thought per like in because it just gets
You want me
crazy.
to do like a side by side, or do you want me to summarize and then summarize?
No, do side by side.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning then. Okay, so they go to the hospital. Alyssa has the baby. Yada yada yada. Lily and Ryle are also there. Everyone's so happy. Ryle's like, "Let's go make a baby," and he's like, "Do you want to come home?" She's like, "No, I spend a little bit more time with the baby." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Okay, cool. Everyone's happy, chilling." Which, if you have any intuition, you're like, "Yep, shit's gonna hit the fan."
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, there was an inconsistency when she gets home and
Mm-hmm.
she sees him sitting in the dark drinking whiskey and like
Yeah.
looks sober. So to me, I was like, okay. I personally just didn't understand the time frame of how this all happened because, okay, so he's sitting in the dark and he's like, "Oh, where'd you get this wine from?" And she's like, not answering him, which, as you know, okay, red flag right there. Um, as Ryle,
Mhm.
I'd be like, "Well, why aren't you fucking answering?" And then
Which he kind of is.
yeah, so then like they're in the kitchen and like yeah, she's like on the counter and he's like pulling her pants down. He's like, "Where'd you get the magnet, Lily?" And then she's like, I don't even know what she says. And then, and then he's like getting like very forceful and he's like, "Naked truth. Tell me where you got the magnet." And like he's being like more, like aggressive. And she's like, "Stop it."
And
Like,
she's like, and he's going back and forth between like that and sexy, and she's excited to have sex. Then she's like, I feel like something's wrong.
yeah. So
Like, I
she's
don't.
like confused. Okay. Me personally, I would have been like, vibes are off right away.
Yeah,
This is
vibe
not sexy. This is a
correct.
no good time about to happen right here.
And as the reader, the second you walk in and he's in the dark, its vibes are off.
Yeah. I would have turned around and left.
I
I'd be
think
like,
that she, again, like as his wife, is like just not, almost in denial, you know?
and then that's where I'm like, are you good, sister? Like, are you cognizant of like your past, present, and future? Like,
Fair.
I don't know. Like you said, are you in denial? Which maybe she
Right.
possibly is, probably is. So whatever. And then then he grabs a newspaper and he like throws it at her or some shit like that. And he was like, "Oh, like you should read like what's going on at Bibs or something like that." And like she's crying, I don't know. She starts crying. He's
Well, because she
crying.
hadn't read it either. Which part of me was like, damn, dude, to put that in the paper, Alice was also a fucking crazy choice that you made.
Yeah, like that was bold.
Bold. Bold as fuck. Don't appreciate.
Yeah,
Anyways,
as if like your column isn't right next to her column and like they're gonna read it.
right. I mean, dickhead move on Atlas's part. You know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, he was just saying his truth.
I guess, but also I could see from Ryle's stance, not going to excuse what we discuss he does in the next 2 seconds,
Yeah,
but I could see him. It seems like they're having an affair. I mean,
yeah, for sure. Understandable. And then basically she finds out like she looks in like the room or the living room and like her
mm-hmm,
fucking box of like Lily's things are like strewn all over the place. And like he
mm-hmm.
read through all her journals.
Yikes.
I If I was Lily at that point, I would have jumped out the window.
I would be like, fuck.
Like you're screwed. Like
Screwed.
no way
Screwed.
is this gonna end up fine.
No, screwed.
And
You're
it
so
doesn't.
fucked. No.
And so like she's like, Ryle, like you're upset, like walk away. And he's just like, still
Oof.
coming on to her, still coming on to her, and she's like screaming, she's crying. And what does he do? I don't even remember what he does.
Well, we didn't mention. So Atlas used to always kiss her collarbone.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so in college,
Oh, cause
she
she
like
this is also so bad.
in college she got like a little tattoo where he used to kiss her, which again, objectively a fucking crazy thing to do.
Yeah, of like an open heart.
Yeah, and
And so
so,
like Ryle's like kissing her neck, right? And then he
and then
like
he
fucking
fucking,
chomps down on her fucking
bro.
collarbone.
I was like,
I
no,
was like, oh my god, he's a fucking cannibal on top of it.
that's a fucked scene. But like, also, like, okay, okay. Anyways,
Yeah, that was
yeah, it's
crazy.
fucked. So now he's trying to rape her.
Yeah.
She's struggling. He headbutts her. I mean,
Yeah, not good. Very like
she passes out because he fucking headbutted her,
yeah, and then she like wakes up, she's like all disoriented,
covered in blood,
and he's like all snuggled up to her on the bed. He's like, I'm so sorry. Like,
and she's scared for her fucking life.
yeah, and he was
So
like,
she's like, okay, it's fine.
yeah, she's like, go to bed, like it's okay, I'm okay, like whatever. And this fucking psychopath falls asleep, and then like she like slowly disengages and like grabs her phone and like dips. And guess who she fucking calls?
Atlas.
Now,
Now,
okay. This is my first hang up. You know, she tells Ryle that she put it in her, like, he put it on the back of her phone and she forgot about it. She never
Yep.
looked at it. She forgot about it, which would have been fine because honestly, like,
Same.
same, exactly.
Hmm.
But then this bitch says, you know, as she's typing the number, that when he put it in her phone, she sat and memorized it for like a certain, that takes time. That
Hmm.
takes time. I'm saying at least 5 to 10 minutes. That's a big chunk of time to be memorizing something
Yep.
because you know you're going to need it in the future.
Right.
First
Now that,
inconsistency.
well, inconsistency, yes. Again, she wouldn't tell Ryle that. Now, here's my hang up with that. Could you write that off as you were scared of your husband? Sure, fine, because that's how she says it. Oh, I feared I needed to use this in the future. I argue that Lily's kind of a fucking bitch too,
Mm-hmm.
and that you weren't over Atlas. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be very clear when I'm saying this to all of you.
I have such a good point to make.
His actions are not excused. Lily, even in the future, when they have an altercation, she says, I could have been fucking Atlas in this bed, and that would not have excused you for what you did to
No,
me, which is
100%.
very valid.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I will argue, again, I want to be very clear. No matter what happened, does not excuse Ryle being physically abusive with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
But I argue that he was right. Lily was being a fucking, I argue, unfaithful.
Yeah.
I
Emotional cheating
mean,
is a real thing.
yes. So again, don't condone what he did because of it, but like he wasn't wrong.
No.
In it, he wasn't wrong in the sense
He
of
wasn't wrong to be
his,
upset.
yes, and he wasn't wrong in his like weird gut feeling like she's not
Yeah.
letting this shit
But
go.
his action was not,
Wrong.
is wrong. Yeah.
Correct.
So, okay. I just can't wait to make this point. So, whatever. Atlas comes and he picks her up. Now
Hmm.
she's staying at Atlas's house. And she's like, oh my God, he
Well,
has a nice house and a nice
hold on. They
neighborhood.
go to the hospital. What the hospital? There's a revelation.
Oh, yeah, what happens?
Lily's pregnant.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's a big deal.
Right over my.
They go to like do like a X-ray because she's
Oh,
fucked
yeah.
up, and they're like, we can't do an X-ray for people in your condition, and she's like, what? And they're like, you're pregnant. I was like, oh my god. Which
I was like, of fucking
again,
course she is.
of course she is, but this is the one time I didn't mind a pregnancy trope because that is like a fucking gut punch, bro.
I hated
Like
it even more.
that added to this book to me. Like I was like, oh my god. I was like, bro, he beat the shit out of her and she's pregnant. Oh my god. And again, I argue like,
I wasn't even like fucking like. For me, I missed out on that like holy shit like revelation because I'm like, of course she's fucking pregnant because every fucking bitch in all
yes,
these
yes, yes.
in all these books
You know
ends
these
up being pregnant.
books.
All these books end up getting pregnant.
I get what you're saying, but I think again for me for this book, I was like that added to the story. Like that added a level of gut punch dread in my fucking stomach. It really did. That for me, I feel like this was
For life
one of the books.
pro-choice, we won't get into that, but
She wants the baby. Anyway, so yeah, she goes stays at Atlas's house. So continue. Sorry, I just had to mention that she's fucking pregnant,
yes, she
and
pregnant.
Atlas is like, what the fuck, poor Atlas. He's like, girl.
Yeah, so whatever. She ends up at okay, let's just gloss over these last things because honestly, the rest of the book was so fucking dumb. I was like, okay, here we are at the end of the story. She's at the house, she's staying with Atlas, she's not really talking to him, she doesn't really know how to feel, she's crying, she's laying in bed, she's depressed, like, whatever.
Which, as you should be.
All the array of emotions. Yeah, I feel like not really much happened in the last section of this book. It was like, bam, he abused her, she's pregnant, and now it's like, okay, and like I'm gonna
He
stick up for
goes to
myself.
England.
Yeah, so
Like
he
he
leaves,
goes.
whatever,
Yeah.
and she's staying with Atlas. She doesn't want to go back, and then Alyssa's like, "Come see the baby, come see the baby," and she's like, "Oh, so Alyssa knows nothing of what happened," and she ends up going to see the Alyssa, and like they have this whole heart to heart, and Alyssa's like, "You should leave him," and I was like, "Good for you,
Okay, did you
Alyssa."
find that emotional at all? Because that part killed me.
Not really, no.
See, okay, so I did. But again, okay, so it's like, okay, so she tells Alyssa off she's pregnant, tells Alyssa what happens, whatever. Because Alyssa's like, you two are being fucking sketchy, what happened?
Okay, but
Like,
like, this is also my problem. It's like, okay, I would have maybe felt more emotional if like she talked about what the conversation was.
yeah,
All
she's
she
like,
said was, and
I
then I
told her
filled Alyssa
everything.
in on the last 5 months.
Right, right, right.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay, so
great.
again, so maybe I just feel emotion behind it because again, as I mentioned, like relating to it, right? So it's like again, I felt Lily's pain in being like wanting that family with her best friend and her husband and like this like almost like idealistic perfect
Mm-hmm.
world.
Yeah.
And now being pregnant, and also again like Alyssa was a good fucking friend in being like, as his sister, I know he loves you, I want you to take him back like for him, but as your best friend, like if you ever go back to him I'll kill you. And like damn, like that fucking killed me, man. Like because that was like a real, I feel like a the duality of how Alyssa really probably felt. Like
Mm-hmm.
she probably wants them to be together more than anything because she also wants her best friend to be her sister-in-law and like, raise
Yeah.
their kids together. So like that fucking hurt me. And as a side note, again, I can totally imagine you not relating to this, which I totally get.
Unrelatable.
Like obviously Ryle comes home, all of a sudden Lily's like 5 months pregnant and he's like, what the fuck? Which
Yeah.
that's shocking. And she's like, you know what? I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, we'll talk after I have the baby, but like right now, stay the fuck away from me. Okay, fine. Now, what really killed me about this was like, okay, again, before I even say it, fully get that you do not give a fuck about this and like don't care, probably have no emotion. But like imagining going through pregnancy like without your partner and like she's building a nursery by herself and shit,
I
like that really
mean,
upset me. Again, totally
that's the reality
understand.
for many women.
Agreed, but that doesn't make it any more like less upsetting to me.
No, I think just because like not from my experience, but like from people I know, stories I've heard, things I've read, like maybe
Mhm.
I'm just like desensitized to that and I'm like, yeah, that sucks, but like that's a reality that many people face.
I guess also because of how she wrote Ryle in the beginning of the book,
Hmm.
like and how like involved he was, how cute they were. And like she even makes a point at one point when I don't know, he like, touched her stomach, whatever, and she was like, I mourn the fact that we didn't have like more moments like this because like,
Yeah,
he
but
fucked up.
I I also had a hard time reconciling the fact that like she was so like there needs to be distance between us, but then like he's also staying at the apartment and then ends up helping her build the nursery.
Yeah,
Like I
I
didn't
think there's
understand
probably
that. Like
because
I
there's
felt
part of her that probably loves him
no, I
still.
think Colleen Hoover was trying to play both sides of the fence. Like if and that's where I get upset because like
But you
if
don't think that Lily's also on both sides of the fence?
I mean I guess, but like that there's an inconsistency. Like at least state like something,
But I feel like
like
she does. Like she's like,
I kind
you
of skimmed
know,
over on
it's
that.
also like she said too. Like she was like, he offered to like help build the crib in the nursery, whatever. I don't fucking know. And then she makes a point and says like, I kind of don't want him to, but at the same time, like, he's also this baby's father. Like he should be fucking building a crib. And like, I
I
was
don't
hung up
know.
on the fact that like she made comments saying like, I wish we had more moments. Like he would have been so good while she was pregnant. And it's like, yes, what he did was unforgivable, but I still mourned those moments that she didn't have with him.
Okay, understandable. But then at that point, why is he sleeping over the apartment? And if he wants to come over and help, then there should be someone like a third party there to ensure that nothing else happens. Which happened, originally when when her and Ryle had that conversation, like when he just got back and like Marshall was there, which was fine. I was like, good, there needs to be a third party. But like after that, like, and then like he's like, I don't know, he's like kissing her stomach, making her breakfast. I'm like, okay. So at that point, I was like, she's gonna take him back. This bitch learned nothing, you know?
Okay.
I was like, okay, like I'm so confused. Like
Okay.
fucking I understand that's the point. Like in situations of domestic violence, I understand that it's very confusing because you love someone who beats the shit out of you or abuses you or does whatever.
Mhm. Right.
And like, that's hard. Think of like in situations where you have a child and a parent that's abusive. Like
Right.
obviously you still love that they're your parent, but like
Mhm.
what they're doing to you is not right. So
Correct.
like I understand the ambiguity of all that, but then this is where I get confused with Colleen Hoover specifically is she's too all over the place.
But I also argue that like in these situations as people, you probably are all over the place as well.
I mean, I get look,
I don't think that's a reflection of her writing. I think that's a reflection of this fucking situation.
I don't
In
know.
this case.
Honest but I don't know, maybe I'm just an asshole. Maybe that's what it is. Like if you came to me, like if this was you, if you were Lily and you were like, "Hey, oh, Ryan's staying over the house. Um
Right.
and he's building a nursery." I'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Right, right,
I'd be
right.
like, let me at least be there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
two should not be alone together.
Right, right.
I understand, like, when he's
You know what? Yeah.
conscious, he's fine. But, like,
Hmm.
obviously, if this guy's fucking deranged when he gets upset or something triggers him, like, that could happen at any point. And that's why
Yeah.
I get annoyed too, because they brush away his abuse as his anger issues and he, like, blacks out and doesn't know how to act. And then he gets violent.
Right.
Okay, you're excusing the behavior at that point. And
I don't disagree with that.
how do you not realize that that could happen at any moment? You
And
just
I
came
don't
back from
disagree
the
with you.
yeah, like you just came back from the hospital after your sister gives birth and then all of a sudden you're fucking beating the shit out of your wife. Like I just
And I don't disagree with that part either. I think I appreciate, again, the three instances of the abuse. I appreciate how each one escalated because it shows like the just gradual progression. Again, it was streamlined for the sake of a book, but that could even, like, that could happen gradually over years, right? Like it
okay.
slowly gets worse.
But
So I
that's
appreciated that, but then I agree. I think
I
it
don't
like
know.
dismisses like the severity of it by saying he blacks out.
But
I
if
agree.
yeah, like I felt like
Like, why not just have the situations escalate and just leave it as his anger issues? Don't
yes,
even say it's blacking out.
yeah, like I felt like at that point when she had to like give a reason for why he was abusive,
Don't give a reason. He just was abusive.
I lost respect at that point of looking at this book as a domestic violence book.
Fair. Because sometimes there is no reason. And I guess
No,
sometimes there could be,
and that
right?
could have been
Sometimes
fine.
there can be.
Like if
But
I don't
why
know,
not just make it be that his, again, I would have respected it more, agreed completely, if his, you know, situations of domestic violence and domestic abuse escalated each of the three times and then that was just it. There's no explaining it. It just that's what it
yeah,
was.
there doesn't need to be an explanation. You know, sometimes that's just what it is. And at that point, it almost felt like she was trying to humanize Ryle, and that, which okay, I can
Which I can
understand,
get that too though.
but like I felt like that wasn't fitting for the point that she was trying to get across.
Right. But I think also the point could be as well,
But maybe I'm
even if
misinformed.
there, well, we could be, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know.
it could also be the point, you could flip it on its head, right? And say, even if there is an excuse and even if they are humanized, it still does not make it okay for them to touch you.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They can be, maybe that was like the quote unquote best outcome was that, there was an excuse. He is humanized. Doesn't matter. Even with that, it should not be.
Hmm.
So that's almost what I'm thinking. Like, she almost probably made Ryle the quote unquote best kind of abuser to still be
Yeah.
like, it's still not okay.
Like the least worst kind of
Correct.
abuser,
To still be like, no, you
which
know?
which I feel like in reality is just not relatable.
But at the same time, I don't know. Abusers, I'm sure, have excuses. Oh, I blacked out. I didn't mean to. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure they do. I'm sure.
Well, this can turn into a whole fucking psych lesson, but we're not.
It could, and it's gonna half and half. So Lily gives birth. They have a daughter, which I appreciated the fact they had a daughter because that's kind of when they talk. And Lily didn't know. To be fair, what Hallie was saying about he's making her breakfast, all this stuff. Lily wasn't sure if she was gonna take Ryle back. It wasn't until she looked at their daughter that she was like, I want a divorce. And because she started thinking about it, her dad to her was sometimes nice to her and was a fine father, but
Well,
she said that she will always view him as a piece of shit because of how he treated her mother. So Lily's point at this point of the book is to be like, listen, you probably will be fine with our daughter. Like, a lot of abusers only abuse their partner, and so even 2 seconds of seeing you lose your of seeing her of her seeing sorry
hmm
you lose your cool with me will scar her. She will always hate you.
hmm
Whereas maybe like just you're probably gonna be a great dad, and that's where we need to leave it. Like, she should not see you in that light as an abuser.
yeah, which was fine. Wait, but also I was laughing before when you were talking. It was not because of that, but I just had like the thought of like when Alyssa has her baby and she's like, we named her after Ryle because he's such a great person and a great uncle. And they fucking name the kid Riley, and then he goes home and fucking chomps
Beats
it
his
down on his
wife.
wife.
Yeah, I mean, that's not great.
I was like, yo, that's crazy.
But again, okay, that is crazy and it's like almost comical in a
I was
way.
like, Jesus
But
Christ.
I think that kind of almost adds to Lily's point when she says, like, my dad never beat me. My dad was a great person. Her dad was the fucking mayor. He was a great guy to every single person besides her mother. And I
Hmm.
think that's almost, maybe, I don't know, I could be giving Colleen Hoover the benefit of the doubt, that I think naming the child Riley was literally like Alyssa only ever saw the good in him. Like he didn't hurt Alyssa. And I think that like almost drives that point home more. Is like someone really thought so highly of him. They named their child after him, and I don't think she did that like she did that with a lot of intention. Like she was like really felt that way. And I just I okay. So they decide to, break up, whatever. He's upset, he's crying. I thought it was an emotional scene again, like I did. Whatever, it is what it is. I found this book very emotional. Um I think that she did a great job in like putting all these emotions in there, and like again, was it convenient that Alyssa's the best friend, all this stuff, naming the daughter, but I think all those things were done with such intention and like nuance, again being like he is a good person to some people, like this is what abusers sometimes do, like doesn't mean that like she should, but again, making him the best quote unquote form of abuser and still being like Lily needs to get out of there.
Okay.
I when I tell you again, this book made me fucking sick to my stomach. Like how badly I wanted Ryle to change and to not do this. And even she writes in the back of the book, Colleen Hoover, this is a book based off her parents. And, she said that her dad regretted his actions for the rest of his life. That she like had her stepfather walk her down the aisle, like all these things, that like the casserole incident was like a real thing. Um, she just wrote like why she wrote this book, and I just really felt like she did a good job of like bringing awareness again in the sappy romance way for sure, but like it killed me. And she even said in the back of the book like how badly she wanted to just like not write the ending how it was, like,
Mhm.
because it was painful to me, it was sad, it was really fucking sad. And that's truly how I felt. Like I literally was like, forgive him, like have your family. Like he wants to be a family of three. Like take him back. You guys can do it. Like really. And I guess for me, again, maybe it's because like I relate to romance books and like I enjoy them. But for me, what really like fucked me up truthfully about this book, like I know whatever, it's crazy that I feel these many emotions for this stupid Colleen Hoover book, whatever. But like really what struck me was like again, I'm empathizing with her and I'm literally saying like, oh, like if you took him back, I would totally understand. Like I would take him back. And to that was a dark headspace for me.
Mhm.
To really put myself in that position and be like, I might have taken that person back. I think that was the first time, again, I think that was the point of this book. That was the first time where for me, I was put in the shoes of someone who's abused by someone they love, which I'm fortunate to say, and to be like, wow, that is a hard choice. Because as Colleen Hoover, as Lily mentioned, a lot of times people view domestic violence and they're like, why is she so stupid? Why is she staying?
Mhm.
And I think, again, this was a way for most people to understand. It was like a fluffy read, but it really got you to empathize and understand how someone could keep taking them back. She made you fall in love with Ryle. She made the situations ambiguous. And I think the point of it was just to get you to be in those shoes for like 5 seconds. And like that put me in like a weird headspace. Like I was like, fuck, like this is like not like a fun place to be.
Mhm.
And that's really the impact it had on me. Like I know we feel very differently, but I think that's why this like book gripped so many people, because it was the first time that some of us, again, fortunately, ever put ourselves in the shoes or indirectly experienced what that would be like, and to be like, oh, it really isn't quote unquote them being stupid.
Yeah.
Like you love this person. It fucked me up, man. I literally was like, take him back. So, and that's crazy. Like objectively, I know that's fucking insane.
No, which is, understandable. There was a couple times like reading the book, I was like, I would probably take them back too, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with, abuse, or like even if you look at like shit like Stockholm syndrome, like you fall in love with your abuser.
Yes.
Like, and it's hard to detach the two because
Yes.
things are very, hot and cold. And then our bodies, if you're in that for a heightened period of time, you get addicted to that type of feeling, you know?
Well, because it's also that like intense remorse afterward, and you fall in love with like, oh, well, after they abuse me, they're so nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the mind is fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying. And again, as a reader, and I argue again, most readers, like, when you're reading, if you enjoy reading, you're really in the book, right?
Hmm.
And again, I thought her writing was better this time. Was there like cringy, corny things like the Ellen stuff? Sure, but I kind of just like ignored it. I thought the overall message and what she did was really well done, like overall. And maybe that's because she experienced it, like indirectly with her dad and all that stuff.
Hmm. I don't know. I felt like this was a deeply triggering and dark topic to begin with, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone knows how I feel about her writing, and I felt like that just added another layer of like, now I'm really fucking depressed because not only am I reading about this terrible topic, but I have to read through it through terrible writing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So, what did you rate the book? And read a little blurb.
I gave it a 2 star.
Wow. This is probably our biggest difference.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 star. Wait, but
Why?
also okay, before we go into the rating, I also have one more thing to say. Which I also just couldn't fucking bring everything into cohesion at this point.
Mm-hmm.
After Atlas, has his buddies over or whatever, and she was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, so Cassie's not a real person, whatever."
Okay,
And
Atlas said he had a girlfriend he lied about.
yeah, so he was like, "Oh, I saw you were happy and XYZ," and like I just whatever. He pussied out and he said he had a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Lily's mental thoughts, she clearly, like, explicitly says, like, at that point when I first saw Atlas at the restaurant, if he didn't say he had a girlfriend, I would have pursued him. I was like, well, that's fucking news to me because you were fucking head over heels for Ryle, even though you were still in that weird kind of like, what are we phase. But that was never mentioned at that point in time. Even
Right.
afterwards, when she's reading the diaries, that was never said.
I almost wonder
Never.
if that's just her being like, I could have saved myself from this situation, like just being a dumb bitch.
Okay, which makes me, which only furthers my point.
No, correct.
There's
I don't disagree.
inconsistencies. And then to me, I was like, plot hole.
I I find the inconsistencies. Okay, so you find the inconsistencies with the writing. I find the inconsistencies with Lily's character. I think she's a flawed character.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I think we differ on the inconsistencies. I think Lily's inconsistent.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like to
So
me,
maybe it's not Colleen Hoover's problem, it's her character's problem.
which granted, yeah, I mean her characters are
I
kind of
don't
shitty
know.
fucking people.
But also you're making these people up. You're writing them.
Well, right,
What's your intention, Colleen? What's your
right,
intention here? I'm
yeah.
confused. Maybe I'll like you more if you can clarify.
Yeah. But in this case, I think a flawed character was needed. And so I take those inconsistencies again as like character flaws rather than like plot holes. I think plot holes in this case, if there was like a weird like setting, whatever, I would take that as a plot hole. I think that in this book's circumstances, I take it as Lily's inconsistency. Just
Yeah, it's confusing, like she's all rile.
well,
She's
yeah.
all riled up for Ryle, and then like at the end, it's just like, oh,
Oh yeah,
but
she's
like
dating Atlas now.
my
She's
heart was
ready.
always for Atlas. Okay, you know what? I'm done with you. Like, pick a side, bro.
Right.
Anyways, with that said,
Mhm.
obviously, I liked Atlas a lot more than I liked Ryle. I
Okay.
felt Ryle was too chauvinistic and
Mm-hmm.
just too, like too fucking, like Wall Street for me. I was like,
Okay, fair.
like you're okay, like you're hot. But that's the thing. Like, I don't like the guys who are like, I'm hot and I know it. I'm like,
Right, right, right.
let me fucking knock you down a peg. But
Yeah,
that's just my fucking.
unfortunately, I'm the opposite. But
That's my
okay, so
fucking
your team
problem.
Atlas, you gave it 2 stars. Why'd you give it 2 stars? Give me a little
I like how
blurb.
like the first sentence of my review was like, I'm not a troll, but like, go sucks.
But like,
Yeah, I wrote a really long review for this.
yeah, so did I. Let's just do like our main blurbs, like gist of why we gave what we gave it.
Okay, I mean, like I already said the one, like
Mm-hmm.
the main characters are like, fucking dumb, immature people. Then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden one thing happens and they're, fucking Gandhi, right? In parables. And then I just felt like like she's inconsistent as a writer overall.
Okay.
That's like my big thing with her is I
Yes.
feel that she's too inconsistent. Um, I also talked about how this is a triggering topic, and then I was also triggered by the writing. Oh, and this is a big thing, but this is a me thing. It might not just it's not solely a coho thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm tired of the whole marriage and pregnancy tropes. Like, I'm so over it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's so played out.
yeah.
Every fucking romance book, and sometimes you find it too in fantasy, like, and contemporary. Why is everybody written that they want to find their knight in shining armor and then,
Yeah.
go through these traumatic things with them to, prove their love for them
Right,
and
right.
then, want to settle down and have a family and have kids and la la la, everything's happy. I
I agree
hate
with
that.
you.
I hate that.
No, I agree with you. But again, I think for this book, like this book was about that. You know what I'm saying? Like domestic violence. So I think why not amp it up and make it like, the ultimate circumstance of like a child. Like, I think again for this book, I agree with you. Like even spoiler alert, if you haven't listened to our Akatar episodes, Fair being pregnant, unneeded. Don't need it. Just didn't need it.
Yeah, that was
So
fucking
I
stupid too.
agree with you as a whole. Completely understood. I just think for this book, I it added to the story for me, like I mentioned.
I don't know. I think people should want more for themselves.
Okay. So yeah. Um whatever. Um
Uh,
okay, so that's why you gave it 2 stars.
yeah, I'm not a fan of the writing. I wasn't a really big fan of the fucking, being depressed and then being depressed even more on top of it.
Okay.
The same old stories are played out. Like, I don't know. I need something new and refreshing. And I also, might have knocked down a peg or two because I just don't like her.
Yes, fair.
Sorry,
Right.
but that's, and, at least I'm honest.
You are honest. You're always honest. Okay, so this is our starkest difference. And I will say, after rereading whatever, I'm still leaving it at 5 stars. Now, yes. I know,
That's
shocking.
that's crazy.
But again, like, okay, so I'm not even gonna read my review. It's literally summarizing what I went on my rant about before, just about how I really fell in love with Ryle. I saw myself forgiving him, and this was the first instance of myself, like, really truly putting myself in the shoes of someone like this. And I feel like it, like, honestly made me like more empathetic as a person. It like really like wounded me. Like I felt sick reading this, imagining myself as Lily. And I just think the emotional reaction for me, I was like, and every time I've read it, it's like the same thing.
Hmm.
And so I just like for me, like just what this book did for me, I was like, oh fuck, like it could be like a 4.5 star because there was some corny bullshit, like the Ellen stuff, whatever. But really, if I'm just going off emotional reaction, I was like fucking floored, and I was Team Ryle, and I hate that I'm Team Ryle. You know what I'm saying? Like for
Mhm.
me to still be such Team Ryle and hate him and myself, like it was weird. Like and Lily feels the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I felt no emotional connection to Atlas. Didn't give a fuck about this man.
that's crazy. I felt more of an emotional connection to Alice than I did to Ryle.
None. Book 2 is all about
Oh
Atlas
my god,
and like them.
my heart. There's another book.
There's a sequel, yeah.
Oh, it starts with us, right? Oh, and
Hmm.
the ending, corny as fuck. Okay, the last sentence, it ends with us. All right, fuck off, you. Like, you're
Yes,
corny.
yes.
Anyway, but
I
that's
get I get the whole ending the cycle thing. Yes, corny for sure.
okay. But like, that's
Um,
what I'm saying. It's like this whole gallivanting, like, huzzah! Like this ends with us. My years of generational fucking trauma and abuse. It ends with me. Okay, fucking great. I
yeah.
felt like that could have been the ending could have been done way better,
Yes.
but that's besides the point. Anyways, what I was gonna say is I literally like I the truly the only physical like fucking anxiety emotional reaction I would get was like the journal entries that were with her and Atlas because I was just waiting. I was like, oh my god, like when is the dad gonna find out? Like what is gonna happen?
Yeah, see, I was
And
like, they're teenagers, fuck them.
I felt so bad, like that teenage angst and like that feeling of
Sure,
being
but
alone and like you have this
yes.
kid and like like
But
oh
like
he lives
time and a
behind.
place.
I don't
I also was
know
like, Lily, grow the fuck up, Like drop it, bitch.
when they were in high school.
No, like now that she's fuck, like
Oh
I
no
viewed
no
it
no, that's
like
different. I'm
I
talking
guess
about
the
like
reason
back then.
no, correct, I agree, but I was reading journal entries like very cognizant that she was reading them as like a 25-year-old and I was like, "Girl, get over it."
Oh no, I was like in it like
In the high school?
yeah,
Yeah.
like I was feeling
Yeah.
the feels for sure. Like when he would like the baking the cookies thing, like
Yeah, great.
I was like, oh, like this poor kid, like
No, yeah.
and that's like the type of angst that I eat
Yes.
up. But
Correct.
you know that,
Okay,
so
fine. Fine. So now I want to talk about two things to end this episode. It's a little bit different just based on what we're going to talk about. Um, so, we talk about the books mostly. We want to talk about the movie slightly and
Mm.
also this drama involving Colleen Hoover herself. So let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about the movie first. So I'm
Okay.
going to be honest, we both haven't watched it. Now, I'm going to tell you why I haven't watched it because I have a very distinct reason. When I found out it was going to be a movie, I was, again, as you know how I feel about the book, ecstatic, hyped, ready to go see this movie. I was like, cannot wait. Right off the bat, when they cast Blake Lively, big dub for me. I thought she was too old. I thought that she wasn't Lily. Like, didn't imagine Lily like Blake Lively what so fucking ever.
Mm-hmm.
Then pictures started coming out, weird vibes, weird wardrobe. Can't judge it off that, but I was. Um, so yeah. And also like now the clips that I've seen of the movie, now that it's out, I feel like Blake was the wrong fucking choice. She literally is acting like Serena Vanderwood's in. Not the vibe that Lily gave off whatsoever. I mean, not in the fucking slightest. Um, I hated it from the beginning. So I probably still will watch it because I'm curious, but I just the vibe that I felt reading this book, I'm ashamed of the movie they created. Ashamed. I really am. Now, number two, going off that
Shame
point,
me upon you.
yeah,
Shame.
fucking ashamed. Now, going off that point, Blake fucking Lively, who I will preface and say I have always liked her and Ryan Reynolds. They're one of the celebrity couples. I was like, oh, cutesy. I'll stay tuned and fun outfits, and they're great. They're funny. They're witty. Love them. The way that Blake Lively has been promoting this movie makes me fucking sick. It makes me sick. She thinks that she's on a fucking like the Barbie promotion fucking tour. I mean, she's wearing all florals and she's like, "I'm Lily Bloom." It's about domestic violence. I mean, and I also saw people. So some people just went and saw the movie. Some people watched the movie first. Whatever, fine. You do you. People went to this movie thinking because of how it was advertised that this was the summer's newest hottest fucking rom-com, and then were shocked when Ryle beat the shit out of her. I mean, how dare you take a book that was supposed to be about this, and I could say, okay, it was a fluffy romance, but it really brought awareness, for the people who maybe don't think super deeply. It really resonated with all people. She made it accessible to all. But the way that you fucking promoted it makes me sick. You people are fucking scumbags. And the fact that Colleen Hoover allowed this to happen makes me even fucking sicker. Thank you.
That was crazy.
I'm
That was
sorry.
that was really intense. I personally I personally don't give a fuck. Um when I heard they made this into the movie, I was like, don't give a shit. When I found out Blake Lively was casting it, I was like, don't really care. Not that I don't like Blake Lively. I think she was great in fucking Gossip Girl, but like she could stay there. You know what I mean? Like I feel
Yes.
like everybody has their moment and that was hers. And that's where she will stay in my mind. Her okay, also her and Ryan Reynolds are so fucking random, Jimmy. Who fucking cares?
No, like, but
They're
I feel like before this because people like they were like a it Hollywood couple. Like they were funny, they were cute, they were relatable, like they would banter, whatever. And after this, people are really like hating them. Like they're like,
no.
"Fuck you guys!" Like people are upset, which I agree. I
The
mean, what are
people
you
are
do?
upset.
Yes, but I agree. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Okay, I mean,
They're treating this like the fucking Barbie promotion tour. I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy.
I personally have not looked at any of the teasers, at any of the trailers, at any of the fucking promos, the red carpets. I haven't seen any of this just because I
Yeah,
don't
I was
care to look
intrigued.
at it,
Right,
you
correct,
know?
correct.
So, but I did know that there was a lot of beef going on with Blake Lively because of how she was promoting the movie, but like I was like I don't care at all.
Right,
So
right,
I was like I'm not even going to fucking I don't even care to look it up.
right.
Um if that is truly what she's doing, shame on her.
Shame on her.
And Colleen Hoover too. I think that just goes to show that she's a fucking sellout.
Well, and you were the one who told me about the Colleen Hoover, the other thing.
Okay, yeah,
which aids to this point that, yeah, she is a fucking sellout, which is
she is.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, so if those of you who don't know, there's allegations against Colleen Hoover's son for sexually abusing a girl in high school. And then when it was brought up to her, she made no comment. Now, to me, as a reader and someone in the as a citizen in America,
Wow, fuck.
the fact that you have a past with abuse, not you personally, but like you grew up in a household that was abusive, and you were so moved by the abuse that you were inspired to write a story based on the abuse that you witnessed and experienced, and to have the type of status and standing that you do, for allegations to come out against your son and for you to make no comment is atrocious. Now, is he innocent? Is he guilty? I don't know. That's not I'm not here to, play judge and jury, but I feel like at that point you should have at least made a comment about it. You should have said something.
And if it was true, right?
Then you're fucked.
Well, you're fucked, but you also could not save yourself, but you can be like, yeah, I do not condone the actions. We got him therapy. Like you could
Yeah, just do
still
what
be an
every other person.
advocate.
Yes, do what everybody else in Hollywood does. They fuck up and then they go to rehab or whatever, and they make a
Hmm.
public announcement, and then it's brushed under the rug in 3 months.
Right. Which, and also I argue, I mean, I'm not a parent. I have no idea. I also argue if you're such an advocate for these things and are so
Mm,
wounded by your childhood and whatever, you should have been teaching your children what is right and wrong, and
exactly.
therefore I would argue your children would not do that.
Period.
So I mean, I'm also very skeptical. Granted, sometimes parenting doesn't work, your kids are pieces of shit, it happens. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
But I mean, not most of the times. Yeah, and I just, again, I probably will watch the movie because I'm curious. I just wasn't spending money to go do it because I was sickened. I didn't want to give, if I could watch it for free on my TV just to like, critique it myself, sure. I honestly was kind of like going like a page from Hallie's book. I'm not giving Colleen Hoover my fucking money and Blake Lively when you two are acting like this is the fucking goddamn Barbie movie. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
again, I thought that this was a great way to take a fluffy romance, the typical cliche plot points of romances, put a twist and bring awareness to a lot of the general public and get us to relate and understand domestic violence in like a very basic form
Mm-hmm.
and to empathize.
Yeah.
And if that's what you did and continue to do in the movie, I would have been like, respect. But you two did not. You two, fucking Colleen Hoover and Blake Lively, like sat there being dumbass bimbos. And that makes me fucking ill. And I argue that she put Blake Lively as the main lead just because, oh, it's Blake Lively. It shouldn't have been about that. It should have been about who was the best actor, actress, whatever. Apparently, that guy Justin Baldoni, whatever the fuck his name is, apparently he's great. He's been like saying like, here's the hotline numbers, here's this. This movie's about this.
Oh
He's the
yeah,
director.
yeah. They're both they're both very polarizing in how they've been promoting the movie.
Which, again,
Apparently.
I mean, again, I don't know the truth. We don't know these fucking people. I have no idea. But
No.
you should be, again, ashamed of your fucking self as a woman. This man is bringing more awareness than you are? Are you fucking ill? How dare you?
Dare you?
I'm
How you are
and
disgusting.
and
Disgusting human being. Ugh.
and
You are the
maybe,
worst type of human.
maybe I'm more mad about it because it's like I really in my heart of hearts felt like, again, I took this book and was like, fluffy romance, bringing awareness, all this stuff, and like kind of explained it, and it like all made sense. And I was like, this whole book was purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote it this way for a reason. But
Jamie's
I
an
feel like
ally.
right. But I feel like honestly, the way they're promoting the fucking movie, it lends more to your opinion that she's just a dumbass bitch and just happened to write this book. Like, which pisses me off.
That's all inconsistent.
Oh
All inconsistent.
God, I just fucking people are just fucked, man. The people who like what's it called? They're not bankrolling, whatever. What'd you say? The money? They want money?
Who? Who
Like
wants
when
money? I want money, but
like when like people like authors like they do shit just to get money. What's it called?
the sellout.
Yeah, like I'm so fucking heated.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, like how fucking S Jam's a sellout, Colleen Hoover's a sellout. Like,
Mhm.
can there be nothing good in this world? I'm fucking frustrated.
I mean,
But
money is
anyways,
the root of all evil.
yeah, but I really did like this book. I again, when I thought it was done with intention, the movie kind of ruined it for me. But I really was like,
I heard the movie sucked too.
yes,
It
same.
wasn't even good.
Yeah, I'm fucking
Which,
upset.
I mean,
Shocker, I also
shitty
hot
book,
take.
shitty movie.
Justin Baldoni, great director, apparently did the movie justice. He's the only one doing it justice. But personally, your girl imagined Theo James as Ryle. Whew, thank you.
Really?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Interesting. Okay, also I feel like I was robbed of like a true representation of who the characters were because I knew like I saw who was casted.
Yeah, like I didn't
So I was also having trouble,
imagining.
imagining them myself
I'll send you fan
because
casts.
then it was just like the fucking,
Yeah.
this is who's casted.
Right. I'll send you my fan casts. Like there was like Pinterest boards and shit like that, and I enjoyed them. It was people like that no one well, besides Theo James, it was like, just people that looked like the characters, and I was like, yeah, I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Um yeah, I don't know. I just had to
Also,
rant.
yeah, and the whole Blake Lively thing, like, okay, you're like in your 40s, bro. And you're casted for a 20 or 24-year-old. I was like, this is
Yeah, no.
ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It's kind of like if they
I would
made
have
if
been much happier if they fucking slotted Florence Pugh and dyed her hair red.
I don't want any of that. Honestly, like I'm a big
Yeah, but she's
advocate.
younger. Like that's like isn't or maybe
Yeah,
she's
but
old too. I don't know. I actually have no idea.
I don't think that she's as old as
I
Blake
actually have
Lively.
no clue.
But okay, here's my thing that I argue. I almost like I'm a big advocate for even if they make like an ACOTAR eventually. Um literally please actually don't cast people I know. Like cast brandy new fucking people and make them characters. Here, I sent you a picture. This is like literally how I imagine them in my head. Like that's how they should have looked on top. And that's what we had? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Mm,
Like do you see
yeah.
like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, overall,
I
I
thought he
really
had
like
blue eyes. I'm so confused. Didn't he have blue
who?
eyes in the book? Ryle?
Yes.
Okay, Theo James doesn't have blue eyes.
I would argue neither does fucking Justin Baldoni, Hallie. I mean, let's at least get closer. But again, I feel bad talking shit about Justin Baldoni because apparently he's the only
He
one doing
looks
this.
like he'd make a good Cassian
Sure. He's the only one doing this
if he
justice.
beefed up a bit.
So, you know. Yeah, I liked the book a lot. The movie kind of killed it for me because again, I feel like now it's like you're proving Hallie right, and that irritates me. Um, so yeah. Okay. Do we have anything else to fucking say? I feel like I'm like sweating. I'm so upset.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
have a very strong emotional reaction.
I do. But I do because I really like this book, and I think it was again like a unique way to do this and bring awareness. And I was like really respectful of it. And now I just think they're all a bunch of assholes.
I mean, I hate to say I told you so, but
All right, bitch. All right. Well, this was this episode. I mean, you
I
guys.
wonder what other people think because I know some people who've read Colleen Hoover and they're not like the biggest fans of her. Like they just read her books because they're easy, and they also were not happy.
Well, we're gonna post our review tomorrow, and so you're gonna see that Hallie gave it 2 and I gave it 5. Obviously.
No, I thought that was Monday.
Well, this will be airing on Sunday.
Oh, I'm so confused.
I'm talking to them.
cut that out.
No. So we'll be posting our review tomorrow, and so let us know what you guys thought about the book because I think this is very polarizing, and I'm curious if there's like a middle ground that's
Let's
like
have a
not me and
discussion.
Hallie. Yeah.
Maybe and then sometimes like I think too, I'm like maybe I really am just an asshole and I just don't get it, and I'm
Okay, well,
insensitive.
we'll find out tomorrow.
I might
Whatever.
be. I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
let's see. Let us know tomorrow if you think Hallie's an asshole. That's it. So next week we're gonna be back actually next week. in a row. We're reading Electra by Jennifer Saint as per the poll and the votes. Little Greek mythology vibes we have going on. And then we really, truly are doing every other week. We fucked up a little bit.
Yeah,
It's okay.
we're a little over the place at the moment.
That's okay, but we're going to get back on track. So join us next week for Electra. I would assume it's not going to be this argumentative or long. We haven't given you guys an episode this long in quite a while.
Yeah, since Akatar.
Yeah, so.
And that was when we were going play by play in the book.
Yeah. But that was needed. But anyways, I digress. So we'll see you guys next week for Electra, and then after that we're getting into spooky season. So it's exciting.
Sick. Love to see it.
All right, we love you guys. Let us know. This book is hot and popping right now. So
I hope everybody has a great night, except for Colleen Hoover. You suck.
Bye.
Bye.